Welcome to an epic journey through the history of our species. Today, we're diving into part 1 of Yuval Noah Harari's groundbreaking book, Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind, the Cognitive Revolution. Imagine this, 13.5 billion years ago, the Big Bang kicks off the universe. 4 billion years ago, life emerges on Earth. And humans? We show up just 2.5 million years ago. But for most of that time, we were utterly insignificant, no more impactful than gorillas or jellyfish. Chapter 1, An Animal of No Significance. Picture Earth 100,000 years ago. At least 6 different human species roamed the planet: Homo sapiens, us, Neanderthals, Homo erectus, and others. We, sapiens, evolved in East Africa around 200,000 years ago. But we're middle of the food chain foragers, hunting small game, gathering fruits, vulnerable to lions and hyenas. Our ecological footprint. Negligible. So, what changed? How did one species, us, conquer the world, wiping out the others and dominating every ecosystem? Harari points to 3 massive revolutions: the cognitive revolution about 70,000 years ago, the agricultural revolution 12,000 years ago, and the scientific revolution starting 500 years ago. The first one. That's what truly kick-started history. Think about it. Why are we the only humans left? Why did we spread across the globe while others vanished? Chapter 2, The Tree of Knowledge. Something extraordinary happened between 70,000 and 30,000 years ago. A chance genetic mutation rewired our brains. Suddenly, sapiens could think and communicate in ways no other animal could. Other species talk about real things: danger, food, mates. But we invented language flexible enough to discuss things that don't exist: myths, gods, nations, corporations. Harari argues this language evolved first for gossip. Yes, gossip. It allowed us to share info about who's trustworthy in the group. Chimps and monkeys max out at groups of 150 because they rely on personal bonds. But gossip lets us manage larger social networks. The real game changer. Fictions. We create shared stories, religions, money, laws, that exist only in our collective imagination. Take Peugeot. It's not a physical thing, it's a legal fiction. Yet millions cooperate around it. Nations, human rights, companies, all imagined realities. Ever since the cognitive revolution, we've lived in a dual reality: the objective world of rivers, trees, and lions, and the imagined world of gods, empires, and money. This ability to believe in collective fictions lets strangers cooperate on a massive scale. No other species can do that. Pause for a moment. Isn't modern society built entirely on these shared myths? Chapter 3, A Day in the Life of Adam and Eve. What was life like for our forager ancestors after the cognitive revolution? Small bands of 20 to 50 people, diverse diets, plenty of leisure, maybe 35 to 40 hours of work per week. Healthier than later farmers, more egalitarian, with flexible gender roles. They likely believed in animism, spirits in everything. Cultures exploded in diversity. There's no single, natural, human lifestyle anymore. The cognitive revolution unleashed endless cultural possibilities. Chapter 4: The Flood, or the Destruction of Paradise. Armed with this new power, Sapiens left Africa around 70,000 years ago, out of Africa. We encountered Neanderthals in Europe and Asia. Did we interbreed? Fight? Both? Soon, all other humans vanished. Sapiens reached Australia by boat about 45,000 years ago, the first to sail open seas. What happened next? Catastrophe for megafauna. Australia's giant marsupials, America's mammoths and saber-toothed tigers, extinct within millennia. Harari calls this the greatest ecological disaster in history. Sapiens hunted in large, coordinated groups, adapted quickly, and overexploited new lands. We became the deadliest species ever. From insignificant foragers to planetary dominators, all thanks to the cognitive revolution. This is where part 1 ends. It sets the stage for everything. How fictions built empires, money, and religions. But ask yourself, was this revolution a blessing, or the start of our destructive path? If this blows your mind, stay tuned for the agricultural revolution next. Thanks for listening. What do you think made us rule the world? Welcome back to our journey through Yuval Noah Harari's masterpiece, Sapiens. Today, we're entering part 2, the agricultural revolution, what Harari boldly calls history's biggest fraud. Yes, you heard that right. The shift that built civilizations might have been the worst mistake we ever made. Let's dive in. Chapter 5: History's Biggest Fraud. About 12,000 years ago, in the Fertile Crescent of the Middle East, a few sapiens began domesticating plants: wheat, barley, peas, lentils. From there, farming spread across Asia, Europe, Africa, and eventually the Americas. We call it a revolution not because it happened overnight, but because its consequences were explosive. But was it progress? Forager life was varied: nuts, fruits, game, a balanced diet. They worked maybe 35 to 40 hours a week, had leisure time, stronger bodies, fewer diseases. There was no going back to foraging, the land couldn't support them anymore. Flip the perspective. From wheat's point of view, the agricultural revolution was a triumph. A humble wild grass became one of the most successful plants on earth, covering vast fields. Did we domesticate wheat? Or did wheat domesticate us? Humans cleared forests, plowed land, weeded, watered, all to spread wheat. We became its slaves. Ask yourself, who really won the agricultural revolution? Chapter 6: Building Pyramids. Farming created food surpluses. Surpluses allowed specialization. Not everyone had to farm. Some became kings, priests, artisans, bureaucrats. Villages grew into towns, towns into kingdoms. Storage of grain led to taxation, armies, writing. But who controlled the surplus? Elites. The Egyptian pyramids, the Great Wall of China, built on the backs of millions of peasants. They toiled endlessly, yet believed in the system. Why? Because of shared myths. Gods ordained kings. Hammurabi's code claimed divine justice. These imagined orders kept millions cooperating in massive projects no forager band could dream of. Without agriculture, no empires. No pharaohs, no ziggurats. But at what cost? Chapter 7, Memory Overload. Foragers remembered everything orally. Stories, locations, social ties. But agricultural societies tracked debts, taxes, property. Human memory wasn't enough. Enter writing. The first scripts, Sumerian cuneiform around 5,000 years ago, weren't for poetry or philosophy. They recorded barley, 500 bushels owed by Enkidu. Bureaucracy was born. Numbers and lists before literature. Writing allowed complex administration, trade over distances, empires spanning continents. Yet most people remained illiterate. Writing served the powerful first. Chapter 8, There is no justice in history. Agriculture amplified inequality. Patriarchies emerged, men controlled plows, property. Slavery, caste systems, wars over land. But is hierarchy natural? No. Forager bands were more egalitarian. Women had status, no one starved while others hoarded. Harari argues history has no justice. Victors write the rules. The weak suffer what they must. Concepts like human rights are modern myths, powerful, but invented. There is no justice in history. Agriculture amplified inequality. Patriarchies emerged, men controlled plows, property. Slavery, caste systems, wars over land. But is hierarchy natural? No. Forager bands were more egalitarian, women had status, no one starved while others hoarded. Harari argues history has no justice. Victors write the rules. The weak suffer what they must. Concepts like human rights are modern myths, powerful, but invented. Imagine future animals looking back, domesticated chickens, cows in factory farms. The agricultural revolution didn't just change humans, it reshaped the entire planet, causing mass extinctions of wild species and suffering for billions of animals. This revolution gave us civilization, art, science, cities. But it came at a terrible price: individual hardship, inequality, ecological destruction. Was it worth it? Harari leaves us questioning. As we move to Part 3, the unification of humankind through money, empires, and religions, think about this. are we still trapped in the luxury trap today, chasing growth at the expense of happiness? Thanks for joining. If this challenges everything you thought about progress, hit like and subscribe for the next part. What do you think, was farming our salvation, or our downfall? Welcome back, listeners, to our deep dive into Yuval Noah Harari's Sapiens. We've covered how we evolved through the cognitive revolution and got trapped in the agricultural one. Now, Part 3, the unification of humankind. This is where history starts to feel global. Harari shows how three forces, money, empires, and religions, wove disparate cultures into one interconnected world. Let's explore this in detail, chapter by chapter, and challenge what we think about unity. Chapter 9, The Arrow of History. Does history have a direction? In the forager era, cultures were isolated islands, each band with its own myths, norms, and ways. No global village. But after agriculture, something shifted. Societies began merging. Harari argues there's an arrow to history, from fragmentation toward unity. Think about it, 5,000 years ago, Sumerians and Akkadians spoke different languages, worshipped different gods. Yet through trade and conquest, they blended. Fast forward. Today, we all use the same money, follow similar scientific laws, and share global problems like climate change. How? Through three universal orders: monetary, imperial, and religious. These imagined realities allow strangers to cooperate across borders. Without them, no globalization. Pause and reflect. Is this arrow inevitable, or could history have zigzagged differently? Chapter 10, The Scent of Money. Money is the ultimate unifier, a shared fiction more powerful than any god or king. In forager times, barter ruled. I'll trade my apples for your chickens. But barter breaks down with complexity. What if I need shoes but have no apples? Enter money, around 5,000 years ago. First, barley measures in Mesopotamia, then silver shekels. Money isn't real, it's trust. Yet everyone accepts it because it works. Harari explains, money converts anything into anything else. A Chinese merchant, a Muslim trader, a Christian knight, they might hate each other's gods, but all trust gold. Example, Roman denarii funded conquests from Britain to Egypt, unifying economies. Today, the US dollar, just paper, rules the world because billions believe in it. Money's neutral, it funds hospitals and wars alike. But its genius? It builds trust among strangers, enabling massive cooperation. Ever wonder why capitalism spread globally? Because money erases cultural barriers. Chapter 11, Imperial Visions. Empires are history's great blenders. From the Roman Empire to the British Raj, they absorbed diverse peoples under one rule. What's an empire? A political system governing multiple ethnic groups with a central authority and flexible borders. Romans assimilated Gauls, Greeks, Jews into Roman identity through roads, laws, and Latin. Are empires evil? Harari flips the script. Modern nations condemn imperialism, but empires brought peace, Pax Romana. Infrastructure and cultural exchange. The British Empire spread English, railways, and cricket to India, at the cost of exploitation and famine. Yet today's India is shaped by that legacy. Empires unify by imposing a common culture or ideology. European empires, especially, globalized the world, Spanish in the Americas, Dutch in Asia. Question: without empires, would we have one world or 1,000 isolated tribes? Chapter 12. The Law of Religion. Religion is the third unifier, a system of superhuman laws binding millions. It evolved from animism, spirits in everything, common in forager societies, to polytheism, many gods, like Hindu or Greek pantheons, to monotheism, one God, like Judaism, Christianity, Islam. Monotheistic religions excelled at unification because they're universal and missionary. Christianity spread via the Roman Empire under Constantine, converting pagans across Europe. Islam unified the Arabian Peninsula and beyond through conquest and trade. Buddhism, a non-theistic religion, united Asia under emperors like Ashoka in India. Dualistic religions like Zoroastrianism, good versus evil, influenced others. Harari notes, religions succeed by adapting. Christianity absorbed pagan holidays like Christmas. They also partner with money and empires. Crusades mixed holy war with trade routes. Even modern ideologies like communism or humanism act like religions, with sacred texts, Das Kapital, and missionaries. Think, how has religion shaped your worldview, even if you're secular? Chapter 13. The Secret of Success. Why did unification happen? Harari says it's not destiny, it's hindsight bias. We see patterns after the fact. Europeans dominated not because of racial superiority, a myth, but cultural traits, admitting ignorance. Chinese maps showed China as the world, European maps had blanks, driving exploration. Columbus sailed because he sought the unknown. Credit and capitalism fueled this. Europeans invested in voyages expecting future profits. Asians had technology but lacked the imperial capitalist drive. Result, by 1900, Europe controlled 84% of the globe. This part ends by tying it all together. Money, empires, religions created a global network. But was it progress? Harari leaves us pondering. If this reshapes how you see the world, like and subscribe for Part 4. The Scientific Revolution. Question: in our unified world, are we truly connected, or just more divided under global myths? Welcome back, everyone, to the final chapter of our incredible journey through Yuval Noah Harari's Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind. If you've been with us from the cognitive revolution through agriculture and global unification, thank you. This has been mind-expanding. Today, we reach Part 4, the scientific revolution, the most recent, most explosive transformation that's shaped our modern world in just 500 years. Harari argues this revolution isn't over. It's accelerating, and we're becoming gods. Let's dive deep, chapter by chapter. Chapter 15, The Marriage of Science and Empire. Science and imperialism were partners. Empires funded voyages for knowledge and conquest. Science provided tools, better ships, guns, medicine. Captain Cook's Pacific expeditions mapped islands while claiming them for Britain. Botanical gardens in Europe filled with plants stolen from colonies. Harari calls this the knowledge conquest loop. More knowledge led to more power to more knowledge. Without empires, no global science. Without science, no global empires. Chapter 16, The Capitalist Creed. Capitalism supercharged the revolution. Unlike medieval economies, capitalism believes in endless growth. Credit systems allowed investment in future profits. Banks lent money for voyages expecting returns years later. Stock markets, joint stock companies, like the Dutch East India Company, pooled risk. Harari's key insight: capitalism trusts the future. Economic growth became a religion, GDP the holy metric. This funded labs, universities, inventions. Pause. Is endless growth sustainable on a finite planet? Chapter 17, The Wheels of Industry. The Industrial Revolution, late 1700s, harnessed fossil fuels. Steam engines turned coal into motion, factories into production machines. Railways shrank the world, steamships connected continents. Energy exploded. 1 barrel of oil equals 25,000 hours of human labor. Family structures changed, from extended clans to nuclear units suited for factory life. Consumerism was born: buy more, work more, grow more. Chapter 18, A Revolution in Time. Time itself transformed. Pre-industrial life followed sun and seasons. Clocks and timetables synchronized millions. Factories demanded punctuality, trains needed schedules. Today, we live by abstract time, deadlines, productivity. Harari notes, we're the first society where time is money. Chapter 19, And There Was Light. The scientific revolution promised to conquer ignorance, poverty, disease, war. We've made progress. Life expectancy doubled, famine rare in many places. But happiness? Harari argues we're not measurably happier than foragers. We've traded meaning for power. Now, we're entering the age of bioengineering, AI, immortality quests. We might become Homodeus, godlike humans designing life itself. But Harari ends with warnings. Who controls these technologies? Will they widen inequality? Could we destroy ourselves? The revolution gave us light, but also atomic bombs and climate change. This brings our series to a close. From insignificant foragers to potential gods, that's the brief history of humankind. Harari leaves us with big questions. Where are we going? Do we control our future, or do our fictions control us? Thank you for joining this journey. If Sapiens blew your mind, grab the book, share this series, and let me know in the comments. What's the biggest idea that stuck with you? Until next time, keep questioning.